Hi, I'm Earl Silverman, editor-in-chief of the Journal of Rheumatology. Every year, the journal acknowledges a highly influential research article published in the Journal of Rheumatology with the Duncan A. Gordon Award. This recognition is in honor of our longtime editor, the late Dr. Duncan Gordon, and is granted to the article that has the greatest potential impact to advance treatment and alter clinical practice based on its impact and originality as voted by the editorial committee of the Journal of Rheumatology. As you know, this award has always been presented at our annual reception at the ACR. But of course, this is an unusual year. And although we cannot do it in person, we are fortunate enough to present this award virtually. And I have the honor to speak to one of the authors in a more in-depth manner about this article. Journal is pleased to announce that the Duncan A. Gordon Award for 2020 is given to the article entitled "The Rising Incidence of Gout and the Increasing Burden of Comorbidity, a Population-Based Study over 20 Years." The lead author is Dr. Mohanad Elfishawi, and the co-authors are Dr. Zleik, Dr. Kvrgic, Dr. Michet Jr., Dr. Crowson, Dr. Matteson, and Dr. Bongartz. So today I'm pleased to be speaking to Dr. Elfishawi from the Mayo Clinic, who was the lead author, as I said. This article is available at the journal's website at jroom.org as an open access. So, Mohan, let me congratulate you personally. I would shake your hand, but for many reasons, including COVID-19, we can't. So, there we go. All right. So, I want to congratulate you and your co-authors on winning the award, and I'm pleased you could join me to discuss your article. So here's the award. I hope it shows well. Not as nice as in person, but here it is.
Great, thank you.
It said it's honoring what it says. It's the Duncan A. Gordon Award from the Journal of Rheumatology, honoring longtime editor of the journal, Duncan A. Gordon, and it acknowledges, as we said, the most influential article. So I want to congratulate you and ask you want to say a few words. Up to you.
Good evening, Dr. Silverman. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thanks to all the editorial board in giving us this honor and the award, and acknowledge the work of our group in Gout, the work of our mentors, my co-authors in the study for the epidemiology of gout in Olmsted County and Rochester. We were using the Rochester Epidemiology Project, which is a very valuable resource that we have here in the Mayo Clinic in Olmsted County, which captures the virtually all the population in Olmsted County, whether it's inpatient or outpatient, private practice practitioner as well as included. So that's a very valuable resource that we use here and helps us in productivity and getting research so that we move science further and help to get more knowledge about the different rheumatic disease and different diseases in general. So we are thankful for the editorial board in giving us this this opportunity, this acknowledgement for our work. I am personally thankful for you and the editorial board, and I'm thankful for the mentorship that I had from my mentors, Dr. Matteson, who's a great teacher and rheumatologist, Dr. Crowson, who was our machine and biostatistics, Dr. Michet, Dr. Bongartz, and all my colleagues who has helped and worked together so that this manuscript would see the light, and then we can help to better understand the epidemiology of gout and then advance science further.
Well, you certainly did a great job. And so now I'd like to take an opportunity to discuss the article with you. So the first question is, what do you think the important message is from the article?
So the article was focusing on the epidemiology of gout. When we used the Rochester epidemiology project, we tried to capture the population that we have here in Olmsted County. So we had seen from before that the incidence of gout has been on the rise, and it has been the most common inflammatory arthritis in the US. So we wanted to prove that by doing an incidence study on 2 cohorts that are separated by 20 years. So we have gathered a cohort from the 1980s, the late 1980s, and then 2009 and 2010, and compared the incidence of gout between those 2 cohorts to prove that the incidence has increased. And what we found out is that the incidence rate has increased significantly with a rate of 2.62. So it's more than doubled over a 20-year period. So that's the main important message, is that the incidence of gout is on the rise, and that's evidence-based proven now. The other message that we got from our study in this cohort is that the gout-associated comorbidities like diabetes, high blood pressure, hyperlipidemia, chronic kidney disease, they have also significantly increased between the 2 timeframes over the 20-year period, which correlate with their general increase in the general population, but more also now in the gout population. To prove that, and the benefit that we get from this information is further along the road also in treatment, that the pattern of treatment of gout has also changed, because in the long-term management of gout and on the short term, when you try to use therapeutics like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, colchicine, if you have more patients with chronic kidney disease, you would tend to avoid those medications. So we would use more of the steroids, which we have found that as well has been on the rise. So that's one of the messages that we found, is that the comorbidities have increased, and they also would have an implication in the choice of therapy. Probably they have had a role as well in the increasing incidence. However, the study has not been formulated to further dissect that, but it's probably one of the reasons why the gout incidence has increased. The other message that we give is that when we have calculated the incidence rate, we found that it has increased equally between in both males and females, and also along the age groups. So this increase has not been found in a special age group or a special part of the population. So that's also something to consider. The other thing that we found, or the last thing that we found through our current study, is that the hyperuricemia has not increased significantly between the 2 populations, which is we know that hyperuricemia is one of the main risk factor for gout, but this is what we have seen in this in our study.
You said that's a very interesting point that you made, because I noticed that there's an echo here. There we go. That's better. I noticed that it did say, though, that there was no significant difference in uric acid levels or the use of diuretics, but that couldn't really account for differences, as you point out. So what do you think the reason or reasons? I know, as you said, it wasn't designed to ask the question I'm about to ask you. The reasons for this. Do you think it is the increase in these comorbidities, and do you think it's obesity, metabolic syndrome?
I totally agree with you, Dr. Silverman. That's a very good question, and that's one of the things that we were looking at. We believe that obesity has played a major role, because we had found that the median body mass index has significantly increased between the two time frames, between 28 and 30. The mean BMI between the two cohorts, which is a significant increase in the median body mass index between the cohorts. So we believe that that has played a role. We have found as well that diabetes has significantly increased. So all of them, if you put them together, I think they have played a major role in the increase in the incidence of gout.
Yeah, and I just want to just to make a point of how wonderful the cohort, the Olmsted County cohort is, because these are at a granular level where you can actually ask these questions as opposed to interrogating a database of 500,000, a million people. So I think it's fantastic, and you guys have to keep up the good work. And I always enjoy from the Olmsted County cohort, because, as I said, we know they're real people. They're that when the answers usually. So I really have no other questions. Anything else you'd like to end it with?
So I would reinforce what you said. We are actually fortunate to have the Olmsted County and the Rochester Epidemiology Project. It's a very valuable resource, because it captures the inpatient, outpatient, and the private practice. So everything in the chart, or in all the care of the patient, it's under your eye, and that especially in a disease like gout, when flares or the diagnosis can be tossed between an inpatient location, outpatient location, primary care, not essentially rheumatologist. So the use of the Rochester Epidemiology Project have helped us to globally look at the chart of each patient, where when we were reviewing the records, we were seeing records from every practice that the patient has been going to. Even phone visits we have, like more recently within the recent cohort, to identify if he had a joint symptoms. That had also given us this opportunity, which is not available in other locations or in other parts. The one other thing that during our study, we have used 3 classification criteria for gout, which is the American Rheumatism Association, the one in 1977, New York and Rome criteria. So when we use the 3 criteria to increase our ability to capture the incident cases of gout during these time frames, because each criteria has different benchmarks for the diagnosis of gout. So like New York criteria doesn't include hyperuricemia in their classification, while Rome and the American Rheumatism Association includes that. They have more points to diagnose gout less than the other criteria. So we wanted a global look at the record, and to capture as much as we can from the patient chart to diagnose patients with gout.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was great. And stupid echo. Hang on, let me try to get rid of it again. So I think, I want to conclude, I think what you're telling me is the goal of every EMR I thank everybody who wants an EMR and patient being able to carry their record. You guys have, and I wish the rest of the world in Toronto, everywhere, we're all working on our EMRs, but we're nowhere near you. So that's great. And again, I want to thank you and congratulate you and all your co-authors on winning the 2020 Duncan A Gordon Award and for taking the time to speak to me. So to all our viewers, please read the full-length article, The Rising Incidence of Gout and Increasing Burden of Comorbidity, a population-based study over 20 years by Drs. Elfishawi, Zleik, Kvrgic, Michet Jr., Crowson, Matteson, and Bongartz. It's at the room.org, and it is available open access. And if there are any comments, please let us know via Twitter at jroom or email us at manuscripts@jroom.com. Thank you for joining us, and may everybody keep well during this pandemic. And I want to congratulate the U.S. electorate on their decision. I can't help myself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zoran. Have a good night. Thank you. Thank you for the editorial as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.